Hey, it's Salt, and welcome back to Warcraft Weekly, the show that covers the news, especially the news where little to nothing happened, but gamers made a big deal of it anyway, and we can at least have a little conversation about it. It'll make sense soon, trust me, but if you don't mind, like the video, subscribe for more WoW coverage, and let's get right to it. Buy all the WoW tokens now until it's too late, says gamers who were panicking earlier this week when, without warning, players were unable to exchange their WoW tokens for Battle.net balance. The Blizzard team acknowledged it as a bug, both on social media and on the main menu. It was a peculiar kind of issue though, as trading the token in for WoW game time, that worked fine, as if there were two parallel versions of how the WoW token worked, as if this was a hint of a possible future. When we consider the recent Microsoft buyout and the more recent layoffs, and keep in mind this issue started Wednesday with some possible big announcements from the Xbox team scheduled to happen like a day later. Now if you add in a bucket full of paranoia, of course conspiracy theories are gonna spring up. My favorite one is that they are planning to kill the token balance exchange, and the bug is that they pushed this change too early. It's the best kind of position to make because you're never completely wrong until you're right, and then blow, easy clout. But should we fall into that trap and not believe our lying eyes? Or is the explanation behind Wednesday's bug a lot less exciting? Let's take a look back. The WoW token debuted in 2015 during the days of Warlords of Draenor. Back then, the token was only used for game time and not Battle.net balance. That wouldn't happen for another 2 years during the Legion expansion, and folks with lots of gold to burn happily, they used it to trade for items on the digital store, including WoW services, even other games in the Blizzard catalog, and we'll talk about that bit later. So once upon a time, we had a WoW token that only worked for game time, and then it worked for both game time and Battle.net balance. It's not so unreasonable to presume that if something on the Battle.net side of the token broke, instead of just bringing the whole thing down, the game somehow recovered and reverted itself back to its pre-2017 state. It's still functional, it's just not fully functional. And the bug has since been fixed. That's pretty much the end of that story. But I do have a few comments to leave on this. Feel free to share your own too. First is that Blizzard screwed this up. In hindsight, if the WoW token was experiencing a bug of this level, they really should have just shut the whole thing down and then leave a brief statement saying that, something's wrong and eventually it's going to be fixed. They did address it as a bug, but some people will think up wild stories and they will spread them as fact, or inevitable fact, because you can't trust the corpos. With only minimal communication and by leaving parts of the WoW token system functional, folks had the option to act out on their fears and buy up tokens with gold in a frenzy, and then I guess cash out as soon as the system was back up and running, because hey, you never know, this could be the last time we can do it. Players have been enjoying the WoW token like this for about 7 years. If a change like this was going to happen, it would be extremely jarring for folks who, for better or worse, they treat gold making like a kind of job that lets them enjoy WoW and other Blizzard games off of someone else's dime. It was a few months ago when Blizzard stopped legacy accounts from using gold to buy game time unless real money was used once since the launch of the WoW token, and that was mostly for anti-botting purposes. On top of that, we had advance notice and people still freaked out. If the date comes when the token to balance exchange does go away, we're likely to get like some bit of an announcement, because I suspect that this would affect far more regular players. Like many others, I've used the token exchange to pay for my WoW sub, for expansions, and other Blizzard games that, if not for the future, I'd be less likely to have played them. Here in the United States, a WoW subscription costs $15 a month. Now that might not be a lot to you or me, but internationally, currency exchanges aren't all that friendly, so what might sound like an hour or so's worth of work, it might be a day's or a week's worth of work elsewhere. It's less about affordability and more that not all currencies and countries work the same way. The point is, in some areas people are very dependent on the WoW token to balance exchange, and I think accessibility is pretty cool for gamers. And yet, with all that said, I've had this stance for years now. I don't really like the exchange as it is and what it does to the world of Warcraft. Now allow me to explain what at first sounds like total hypocrisy. Battle.net balance is used for many of the games in the Activision Blizzard catalog. You can buy, like I was mentioning, WoW expansions and services, you can buy Hearthstone packs, you can buy Diablo 4 and its crazy expensive mounts. However, World of Warcraft is the only game in the lineup that has a path towards turning its in-game currency directly into Battle.net balance, and I find that a little bit unusual. It's thanks to the exchange that when a new Call of Duty game comes out, there's a shift in the WoW token price thanks to the overlap of people who play both Call of Duty and World of Warcraft. And the same goes for Hearthstone and Overwatch and Diablo and others. If or when the next big game comes, it's going to be another strain on the exchange. As people use it more gold circulates through the market, costs go up, while raw gold feels less and less potent. The convenience of buying all sorts of stuff on the catalog with no cost to you, that's very cool, but it doesn't seem right that the release of other Battle.net games indirectly alters the World of Warcraft economy. For some, it turns WoW into a game that feeds into other games that are not World of Warcraft, and overall, I just don't see this as a sustainable model. I don't mean to say that the token to balance exchange should just go away entirely, but I strongly believe that the WoW token should serve the World of Warcraft exclusively. What I'm suggesting is that instead of trading in the WoW token for Battle.net services, maybe the token can just be applied directly into these services or products. So, like for example, if you wanted an enhanced level boost, it's not going to cost $60, it's going to cost the gold equivalent of 4 WoW tokens. Or how about faction changes? Sure, it's going to cost like 2, 4, or 6 tokens. Or how about the other denominations? Okay, maybe I don't know. Maybe going forward, pets will always come in twos, which is, I guess, a different sort of problem, like because, hey, maybe you want one but not the other. So maybe the better approach would be to just have a separate World of Warcraft balance, a WoW balance that's created exclusively from selling the WoW token. Because what better way to satisfy WoW players than with another currency? Alright, I really want to get the Epic Edition of War Within. I got some extra gold, so I can trade that in for some tokens to turn into WoW balance, but then I also have this Battle.net balance from my mom, and I can't combine them together in the same purchase. Okay, so maybe I'll just use the new separate service I just made up in my head that converts Battle.net balance into WoW balance, but not the other way around.
Oh my god, stop.
All joking aside, that kind of works. Using a WoW token either gives you game time, or it can be turned into WoW balance that still has the flexibility to be used on differently priced WoW goods and services and expansions and so on and so forth. It just can't be converted into Battle.net balance. On the flip side though, you can turn Battle.net balance into WoW balance. It's just like a one-way trip. Now I know that talking about it now invites a lot of confusion, I get that. And what I'm suggesting is, it's me saying that if you want to buy more Hearthstone packs or Overwatch skins or other Blizzard games, you would need to pay actual money. I totally understand why you won't like that, or why you'd end up not supporting Blizzard games because of it. If a system like this was always in place though, we probably wouldn't notice. And now the floor is yours, flame away. This week's news was actually less news, and it was more like just another mess of social media hype making something so much more than it actually is. The so-called bombshell Xbox announcements on Thursday turned out to only be mildly exciting and very predictable. Diablo 4 is going on to Gamepass. That was a foregone conclusion, and hey, cool, there's going to be more people playing. The question though is, what's next with World of Warcraft's existence under the Xbox banner? Leaked documents from September suggest the intent to create a relationship between World of Warcraft and Gamepass, which is Microsoft's subscription service that gives members access to like full games and discounts across the Xbox and or PC platforms. Playing WoW for free as a Game Pass member, it sounds neat, but like any business, Microsoft likes money. And in my opinion, if they were to say, hey, the Ultimate Game Pass thing includes a WoW subscription, that's basically sacrificing the revenue from WoW subscriptions to pad the number of people who are subscribed to Game Pass. And the way I see it, I'd rather have the money. It is a fascinating thought though, to think of everyone who has an Xbox Game Pass could log on to World of Warcraft. That's tapping into what could be a really massive audience. I just think that it'd be easy enough to say, hey everyone in Xbox land, it's a special month because there's a new War Within season, or it's like a season of Discovery season. Yeah, basically all Game Pass subscribers for the next month or so can go check out World of Warcraft. Go ahead and hop into the classic eras or sample the modern game, and then the month's over, pay up if you want to stay in. I'm not a supporter of bundling WoW into Game Pass as if it was going to be like some sort of super tier, but it would be really cool if there was a discount where I like link my Xbox Game Pass account thing to my Battle.net account, which a lot of people have already done because of other Blizzard games. And if I happen to be a active Game Pass member of subscriber person of any level, then I'd be eligible to get the perks of a 6-month subscriber of WoW. So what that means is that my subscription, if I choose to get one, it's going to be a little bit cheaper. And I'll get gifted those mounts that we usually get from those promos, but without the 6 or 12-month commitment. And, maybe that is the same thing as a bundle, but I feel like going this route just doesn't feel quite as aggressive, and it still checks the boxes. Like, I get the perks and the companies get paid. But what do you think is the future of WoW under Game Pass, or if there's even going to be one? I'd love to hear your thoughts about this or anything else this week. That's the show, and we've got to give thanks to our wonderful viewers over on Twitch and our beloved folks on Patreon. Thanks to you two viewers for making it to the end. You fed the algorithm. Now all you got to do is make sure you like the video, subscribe for more WoW coverage, catch me live, and I'll catch you later. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.